מזמור דוד. אדוני רוי לא אחסר, בינות אשר ירביצני, על מי מנוחות ינחלוני. נפשי יושבב ינחני, במגלי צדק למען שמו. גם כי ילך בגיא מוות לא ירא, רק כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי, דשנת והשם את ראשי, כוסי רבייה. אך טוב וחסד ירדיפוני, כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Giving me repose in green meadows, leading me beside the still waters to revive my spirit. Guiding me on the right path, for this is God's essence. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your staff and your rod, they comfort me. You prepare a banquet for me in the presence of my foes. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and kindness shall be my portion all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. We're here this morning, sadly, to say farewell to Anne Nozick, better known as Annie Nozick, Hannah bat Yosef Amasha, who passed away on a very special day, October the 13th, which equals the 4th day of the month of Shavat, on her birthday, the age of 100, as well as on Shabbat. She is survived by her sons, Michael, married to Cheryl Ashley and Robert, her daughter, Marcia, her husband, Doug, Jennifer, her grandchildren, Jennifer Allen Ritter, Kimberly Nozick, Joshua and Emily Nozick, Holly Steele, Jacob Steele, and Laura Montgomery. Her grandchildren, Rana, Madeline, Leah. Did I get it close? Good. Now this is a challenging one. Mirabai? All right, thank you. You can always correct me. I'm open to that. Scarlett and Cody. She was predeceased by her husband, Emmanuel, and her parents, Joseph and Mary. As you just heard before I started, it's common practice to read and chant the 23rd Psalm at a funeral. The words provide us with some comfort and seem to speak to the situation of the mourner. The psalm says, "He gives me repose in green meadows. He leads me beside the still waters to revive my spirit." It's natural to experience the pain of loss and the anxiety of separation in the wake of a death of a loved one. These words help to calm our state of mind and heart, but we seldom realize that the words of the 23rd Psalm also equally apply to the souls of our departed loved ones. It used to be, I know when I was young, there were severe doubts about the whole idea of life after death. No one has ever come back, and no one's ever told us, was sort of the refrain that I grew up with as well. However, today, with advances in modern medical technology, it appears it may no longer be true. There is now tens of thousands of carefully recorded cases of near death in which people have come close to dying and were revived or came back. It appears for the first time in history that we know of, a significant number of people have had the opportunity to journey to the very edge of our physical existence and sort of have a quick peek into the realm that lies beyond the life that we live in this world. These near-death experiences apparently reveal that life is a journey and that this journey does not come to an end with the death of the body. There appears to be a transition in which the soul separates from the body and is guided to the other side of existence. From the psalm, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." Often we hear about a tunnel of light at the end of which relatives and loved ones wait to receive the Spirit. From the psalm, "He guides me on the right path, for that is his nature." In many of these descriptions, there is a sense of peace and tranquility far beyond anything that we have experienced in this life. Again from the psalm, "He gives me repose in green meadows. He leads me beside the still waters to revive my spirit." Sometimes there is a sense of surprise that this is even happening. After all, wasn't it supposed to cease when our body stops breathing? From the psalm again, "Though I walk in the valley of a shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me." All this is accompanied with a sense of great happiness, bliss, and fulfillment. From the psalm again, "You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows." Many people come back from these experiences with the sense that they have tasted a little bit of eternity. Again from the psalm, "And I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever." Their lives appear never to be quite the same again. We who mourn today for Annie Nozick can also get a taste of eternity in a way that has potential to transform our lives. We experience today how we remain connected to Annie, even though her life on this earth has come to an end physically. She is no longer present, but spiritually, she is still here. We continue to think about her, to remember her, and to love her. Even in death, Annie is as close to us as our own thoughts and feelings, in our own hearts and our own souls. And so if we are open to it, I think today we may be able to believe that the immortal memory of Annie Nozick and the 23rd Psalm can be a guide to the world of spirit which lives inside each of us. I often say that a eulogy in our customs and our faith is considered to be one of the highest mitzvot that we can have and we can do. Why? Because the person that we're speaking about isn't here to thank us. So we are very fortunate today that a number of family members of Annie's will come up and speak. So please, at this particular time, come on up, those of you who are going to say something, and introduce yourself. The reason I'm not giving it a name is because there's a potential of different numbers. So all of you come up at the same time. Yep, right here. There's water as well. So just introduce yourself and then.
Hi, I'm Marcia. I'm Ann Nozick's daughter, the youngest of three.
Go.
Okay. To rephrase a quote from Julius Caesar, "We came to praise her, not to bury her." I flew in on Friday to celebrate my mom's 100th birthday on Sunday, October 14th. On Friday, she was in great form, laughing, gossiping, telling me stories. We went to her happy hour at the Shaftesbury Seniors Home where she lived. And then that night at 3:30 a.m., she died, the day before her party. We were all of us in shock and feeling so sad that she missed her birthday, her 100th birthday. And then, wouldn't you know it, she surprised us again. We discovered that she'd already turned 100, according to her official birth certificate on October 13th, the day before. That was my mom, full of surprises. A remarkable woman. A friend of mine called her a force of nature. And so, we went ahead and celebrated her birthday anyways at Michael's, with cake and candles, and we sang the happy birthday song, paying homage to a grand and wondrous matriarch. Who was Mom? We sat around talking yesterday, and it was clear to me she was many things and many different things to many people. Mom had a resilience second to none that powered her through a life filled with joys and sorrows. Her brother died when she was just 11 and her father a year later. And life changed for her then. She became very poor and grew up feeling very insecure and fearful. These experiences shaped her life and made her worry a lot for her family and fear for the worst. But it also made her strong, brave, and resilient. During the Great Depression, when she was, I think, 16, she took up a job, I think more of an internship, unpaid, at Nozick Commission. And that's where she met my dad, Manuel. To tell the truth, it was a stormy start. He invited her to a BBYO dance and then left her sitting like a wallflower as he hung out with his friends the whole night. And she was furious. She always told us this story. You know, Annie was a dancer. Her dance card was always full. So when he came to take her home at the end of the night, she slapped him and said, "Don't ever call me again." That was Mom, a force to be reckoned with. Later, they patched things up. She was married to my dad for 62 years and brought into this world Michael, Robbie, and me. We each of us had our own special relationship with Mom. But I want to mention Robbie in particular. Robbie spent more time with my mom and dad than any of us. In past years, he would be there every night. He ate with them, played bridge with them, watched sports together, hung out. And later, when he couldn't get around so easily because of health, Robbie called Mom every single day. He helped her solve the crosswords that she couldn't get, and they talked all the time. I know Mom had a very special place in her heart for Robbie, and I know also that she loved all of us each in a very special way. When I think of Mom, the first thing I think of was her joie de vivre, you know, her vibrancy and spirit that expressed itself in so many kind of zany and often neurotic ways. I mean, Mom was a worrier with a wild imagination. If you forgot to phone her, you had to be in the hospital. There's no other explanation. She would laugh herself silly at all the crazy things she did, like when she went through the automatic car wash, sitting in the driver's seat and leaving the driver's side window open. Or that day she found this ominous note she'd written on her calendar for July 14th, written, "Time is up for Owl." She was so perplexed, and she was laughing, and she worried because she'd given Owl a life sentence, and she had no idea who Owl was. Until one day, months later, she found an air freshener sitting in the corner of her bathroom, shaped like an owl. Mom had a great sense of humor and an ability to laugh at herself. My brother, Michael, in particular, could get her going. One of my forever memories was Mom the dancer. As a family, we used to watch TV, Ed Sullivan on Sundays in the den. And when music came on, her her spirit would rise and she'd be on her feet dancing. First a little off to the side of the TV. And if we ignored her, which we usually did, she would move in closer to the TV, dancing more and more wildly until finally we had to take notice of this free spirit that was my mother. Mom was smart as blazes, a top bridge player, a fantastic cook. She had a memory like a steel trap, and she reminded all of us to call each other on our birthdays and special occasions. But what surprised me most as I grew into an adult and got over my teenage warrior years was that Mom was deeply wise, that she was very self-aware. We had many conversations where she reflected on the past and said how she would do things different. She changed as she got older. She became more open, accepting of difference, loving, supportive. Mom prided herself on her looks and beauty. She was vain. She was gorgeous. She was a gorgeous woman with a beautiful smile. Every day she dressed impeccably, put on makeup, and completed her look with a big black flower in her hair, a flower that became her hallmark and attracted compliments wherever she went. And believe me, she loved the attention. To tell the truth, my mom was a bit of a prima donna, but in the very full sense of the word. She was the leading lady in our lives. She made me who I am today. And now, Mom, the curtain is closed for you in this life. I don't know what lies beyond, but I pray for your peace and safe passage. I love you, Mom. I thank you for your love and all you've given, and for this precious human life. I want to close with a poem that my brother Michael wrote to my mother on her 75th birthday. It captures my mother's essence perfectly. To Annie. To Annie the dancer, to Annie the dreamer, to Annie the worrier, to Annie the schemer, to Annie the auntie who's constantly thinking, to Annie the party girl whose eyes are still twinkling, to Annie the doctor, to Annie the baker, to Annie the giver, to Annie the taker, to Annie the sister who's constantly there, to Annie whose kindness just seems everywhere, to Annie the crier, to Annie the laugher, to Annie the jokester, to Annie the gaffer, to Annie the wife whose life Dad is sharing, to Annie who's tender and thoughtful and caring, to Annie the music lover, to Annie the cook, to Annie the bridge player who loves a good book, to Annie the grandma who gives life a shove, to Annie, our mother, the one that we love. Mom, we're going to miss you.
I'm Jennifer. She was Bunny to me, and I'm her oldest granddaughter.
Oh, you're both of you good.
I'm Kimmy, and Grandma Bunny was my bun.
I'm Holly, and for me and Jacob, she was just Grandma.
One of the paradoxical things about having someone in your life so meaningfully and for so long is that they become almost immortal to you. Even though you know logically they can't be with you forever, it still feels like they will be. And that's how it was for me and Grandma Bunny, and I'm sure other family members would say the same. She was always so present and so engaged in life, strong, enthusiastic, vivacious, perceptive, with a keen memory and every last whit about her. It felt impossible that we would one day lose her. While we know that we're blessed to have had her for so many years, her passing leaves a profound sadness and a true sense of loss for what we no longer have. As grandchildren, we all have countless memories of Bunny, going back as early as we can remember, and which continue to shape our lives. I was the person that named her Bunny. She might be Anne or Annie to many of you, but my grandpa used to call her Honey, and my toddler ears heard Bunny, and the rest is history. Bunny and Grandpa Manny visited me, and later Kimmy and Josh, every single day when we were children. We celebrated Jewish holidays together with our cousins, Holly and Jacob, around she and Grandpa's dining room table. Bunny was a master chef and baker, and their home was full of warmth and comfort. There were sleepovers, puzzles, board games, special candies hidden in a special cupboard just for us. She danced and sang and played piano for us. There were trips to visit her and Grandpa Manny in Florida, walks on the beach, movies and plays. She even took me to some that were rated R, and she giggled the whole time. Bunny always made us feel loved, and she always had time for us. Even though all of us grandchildren have chosen very different paths, she has loved and respected each of us for the individuals that we are. She has been warm, gentle, accepting, and a compassionate listener. She never judged. She didn't ask anything of us other than what we could each give. She ended every phone call with, "And I love you."
My grandma was a worrier and always in the center of so many hilarious stories. Two of the stories that I particularly like was the time that my mother forgot to call my grandfather on Father's Day, and meanwhile we had gone out to the lake. And we came back later on that evening, and only to find my grandparents walking out of our house. And my mother was like, "Mom, Dad, what the heck are you doing here?" And my grandma said, "Oh my God, you're safe. You didn't call your father on Father's Day, so we assumed you were bound and gagged and tied up in the basement." Really the only possible explanation. The other story that I particularly like is when she and Auntie Marge were going to Applebee's on a winter windy day, and they both had their walkers and everything, and Marge was like, "Hold on to me for support." And Grandma was like, "No, hold on to me for support." And they kind of fought about who was going to hold on to the other, because they're both really old ladies, right? And so Marge ended up holding on to her for support, and the big gust of wind came and blew them both over, so they were both on their backs on the pavement like turtles and just kind of stuck there. Marge, of course, being a very laughy kind of person, she was just laughing hysterically, killing herself, and my grandma was like, "That's not funny," until a nice young man came by and knew how to pick them both up and save the day. She always laughed so hard at that story.
I'm not going to tell you a story about my grandma, but I'm just going to say a few words to her because I believe she's still here in the room with us. And Grandma, Bunny, Bun Bun, you're my sunshine. A song which I've sung for you many, many times from an early age on. And I will always be your little ray of sunshine, which you've called me for as long as I can remember. I will carry on your light, and we will shine on together. Thank you for teaching me how to appreciate the light. Like you, I enjoy the thrill of feeling radiant. Like you, I will forever sing and dance. Like you, I will become strong and independent. Like you, I will carry on with courage. Like you, I will always shine bright. As sure as the sun rises, I will think of you and feel your warmth. Always, I love you.
Thank you so much.
We were so lucky to have Bunny as a great grandma as well as a grandma. She often spoke of Jacob's family in Vancouver, and I know she treasured every visit and FaceTime with Jacob and Laura's daughters, Alia and Mirabai. She was blessed to become a great grandma to Josh and Emily Scarlett, and most recently Cody. My daughters, Brianna and Maddie, being almost 17, have had the special opportunity to really get to know Bunny. Together with Alan, who she loved to call her hunk, we used to take her to special lunches at the zoo and McNally Robinson. And more recently, we would have Sunday lunch with her at the Shaftesbury. And even more recently, just phone calls if she wasn't feeling up to visitors. Those were special dates. Bunny never forgot a detail about what we were up to. And we all had the privilege to learn about her life and about what it was like to live in a time that is so different from now. Imagine explaining to teenagers about what it has been like to live without the internet or even cars. Bunny was always razor sharp and always current. Her smile and energy could light up a room. My dad tells the story of how she cut him off in traffic at age 84. At age 92, she petitioned to have elective back surgery for cervical stenosis because she felt that her back pain was interfering with her quality of life, and the surgery was successful. As a late 90-something, she used Facebook, Netflix, and was a huge fan of the TV series Breaking Bad and would binge watch until 2 a.m. Bunny was always full of life and surprises. She also had that rare combination of wisdom and perspective, and I loved hearing her opinions on any number of things, ranging from family politics to Donald Trump. She had a way of summing things up in just a few words that somehow managed to say so much. Bunny was a role model for all of us about how to live well, whether it was adapting to poverty and hardship through the years of the Depression, raising her 3 very spirited children while her husband was away serving in the war, beating cancer twice, or recovering from a shattered pelvis at age 96. She was a model of mental and physical resilience, while also maintaining her sense of humor, zest for life, and a beautiful smile on her face and a flower in her hair. I'm sure that I speak for all of us grandchildren when I say I hope I can live the rest of my life with the courage and grace that she possessed. Through these last few days, there's been a lot of talk about Bunny making it to 100, and extra sadness over the suddenness of our loss and the party we didn't get to have. But it got me thinking about how we measure a life anyway. As they say, age is just a number, and was 100 really the goalpost? Hardly the case. Life is not about a single day or number. It's about the journey over the years, the relationships we build, and the legacies we leave behind. For Bunny, her life, her spirit, and all that she gave to so many of us is meaningful in a way that can't be counted in numbers, and that matters in a way that words can't really express. According to some interpretations of the Talmud, it is especially meaningful to die on one's birthday. This is because we are entrusted with a mission on earth, and a righteous person lives their life to the fullest potential, completing their mission on earth in the most perfect way possible on the same day it was begun. And dying on her 100th birthday, I would like to think that Bunny fully lived out her mission and her time, and now it is her time to rest. Bunny, well, it's time to say goodbye for now. We let you go knowing that you have left us with so much love and so many memories. We also know how much Grandpa Manny has missed you, and there is comfort in knowing that he is warmly welcoming you back by his side. We love you so much, always.
Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. Thanks very much, you guys. All the very best. Go ahead. Hugging is important. All the very best. Go, go. See, go ahead. Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you. In meeting with the family yesterday, a couple of things became quite obvious to me when they were describing. We were there for quite a while, going over, as you heard, Bunny or Annie's life. When you think of what she overcame ever since she was 11 years old, her tough life at the beginning, her fear, her poverty, the conquest that she had with all the different health issues that she conquered, the word hero just kept coming back into my consciousness. She was a hero. You know the famous line about, you're given a lemon? Well, she was given a lemon many times, and each time she made lemonade. I love the fact that at 84 she cut her son off because he was too slow. She laughed at her own jokes. I couldn't believe that in the 90s she was on Facebook, and she watched a show that I don't understand. But that's who she was. She was not only in her time, she was ahead of her time. You've heard so many things about her, and one of the things that we can take away at the end is to say that, boy, could we just live half the life that she lived with as much gusto as she had? You already heard a Talmudic quote about dying on your birthday has a very special meaning. All of you knew Rabbi Green, who was here for many years. I was privileged to work with him. He added something to that. She also died on Shabbat. He paralleled that with the mysterious and unknown way how Moshe died. We don't know where he died. We don't know how he died. We know he did die. And rabbis have interpreted that as God kissed him away. But I would like to think that the divine kissed Annie away. So it would be behooving upon us to make sure we remember her in the light and the spirit that we've heard today. It is appropriate at this time to recite and chant the El Male Rachamim. Again, I use one of Rabbi Green's quotes. He calls this the phone call to the soul, because the name is actually mentioned in this prayer. You'll hear me chant it in Hebrew and in English. And for this, for those of you who can, I'd like to invite you to rise. El Male Rachamim Shochen Bamromim Chametze Menucha Nachona Tachat Kanfei Hashkina B'mahalot Kedoshim Utkorim Kezohar Harek Maskirim Et Nishmahat Chana Bat Yosef Masha Shalcha Le'alamah Vagan ein teimenu chatam, anna habal harachamim, hastirech b'setek enofech ololomim, utzror bitzror lachem et nishmatam, Adonai hu nachalatam, v'tanuach b'shlama yishkavaham, v'nomar, Amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure, to the soul of Anne, Annie, Bunny, Nozick, Chana bat Yosef Amasha, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. And let us all say, Amen. You may be seated. Immediately following the burial service, which will be held at the Shaarey Zedek Cemetery, is located on the corner of Main and Armstrong, across the street from Muscalona Park. Everyone is invited to return here for a gathering in Annie's memory. As well, tonight at 6 o'clock, the family will be here in the chapel next door, Rabbi Burkle Chapel, to say Kaddish, and you're more than welcome to come join and participate. During the week, the family will be here at 6 o'clock in the evening on Tuesday and Wednesday. As well, friends and family are invited to pay their respects during Shiva on Tuesday afternoon from 2 to 4 and 7 to 9 p.m., and Wednesday from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Nozick residence located at 130 Lamont. The family will be getting up from Shiva this coming Thursday morning here at the Shaarey Zedek. At this time, I'd like to ask the pallbearers to take their place beside the coffin. And as they begin to make their way out, I would like to ask the family as well to go now at this time and go to your transportation. For those of you who are going to be following us to the cemetery, a couple of things that are very important. Make sure that you have your flashing lights on all the way there. And here's the one that today is extremely important. Observe all traffic lights. We will wait at the cemetery until everybody is there. Don't go through any yellow lights or red lights. You can always catch up with us. The procession isn't that quick. When we come back here, I would like to ask you to help us as well. As the family comes back to the meal in honor of Annie, can we, as a community, make sure that the family has a seat at the table, possibly a cup of coffee in front of them and something to eat? I know everybody wants to pass on their condolences, and I've seen situations where the family has been standing there for a long time with no nourishment. So let's make sure that we look after them by making sure they have something to drink and eat. And then, of course, pass on your condolences. And I would also encourage you to share some of the stories that you have of Annie. I know there are many that you can share as well. In a few moments, the back doors will be open, and I would like to ask you to form two lines through which we bid our final farewell to Anne. Thank you very much for coming and honoring her with your presence.